Going back to my little analogy with climatology, one of the things you understand is that many, many things in life, particularly those things involving human psychology, are not very well solved by the most direct and obvious solution. Actually, if you employ the most direct and obvious solution, you may have opposite results. In many cases, an example of this is the businesses which seek to make the most profit are not the most profitable. By and large, the most successful businesses are those which pursue an oblique end. As a result, interestingly, and Kay makes this point, their businesses were more profitable for it. That the shareholder value movement is actually something which is a very, very direct approach to how a business should be run, and as a result, it's arguably completely inimical to the business of creating business value. Partly because, of course, it purely looks at the interests of the shareholders, whereas a great business actually is great because it actually manages to create some unifying appeal that actually motivates not only the shareholders, but also the organization's customers and its employees. And that what's interesting about a business with a higher big ideal, and the entertainment industry would be a very good example of this at its best, is that actually it manages to enthuse everybody. The second you become a shareholder-focused organization, arguably you may actually be completely, unless you're a bank in which your employees are just as greedy as everybody else, you're actually creating an entity where actually the motivations suddenly become dissonant or actually fighting against each other. So that's my point there. This is a great, great book. The other thing you have to understand, unless any Marxists in the room surviving, unless you hold to the Marxist labor theory of value, that the value of any good is proportionate to the work that goes into it. The other thing you have to accept is just that value is subjective. You also have to accept that our perception of value as human beings is colored by 2 million years of evolution, which in some ways makes us very wonky indeed. One justification for advertising, which I will give, it's a contentious one, is that in some cases, the human perception of value is so badly wacko that actually to meddle with it is a healthy thing. For example, the human tendency disproportionately to value things that are scarce. Rhinoceros horn, tiger's claw, rare hardwoods for furniture. The fact that we are all biased and it's almost impossible for us to overcome this bias to think that because something is rare and expensive, it must be valuable and packed with, wonderful things. That is a huge human bias, which actually we need to overcome. A second thing we need to overcome is the human bias to view things that are inexpensive as less valuable.